Colonization and Tribal Societies. Dear students, in this chapter, we are going to learn about the tribal societies of India
during the British rule.
Tribal people live in groups. They are called Adivasis or the general settlers. In India, by around 1500 AD, tribal societies started forming kingdoms. Gond Kingdom of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh was one of the powerful kingdoms. Still, majority of Adivasis continued to live deep inside the forest, practicing farming or herding. Children, let us know how colonialism affected these tribes. Coming of the British in India disrupted the peaceful life of the tribal people.
During the second half
of the 18th century, most of the tribal areas in the northeast and in central India were taken over by the British. The Adivasis had no concept of private ownership of land. The British introduced the concept of the land that could be owned by the individuals. With an eye on the fertile tribal land, British imposed entirely new revenue system on the tribal people, like the Permanent Settlement of 1793. Unable to pay the revenue, the Adivasis went to the moneylender for a loan. If they could not pay the revenue or repay the loan, the land was taken away. The British tried to establish a centralized system of administration over tribal areas. This system took away the freedom of Adivasis. The British exposed the tribes to exploitation at the hands of outsiders or dykes. Increasing missionary activity made many Adivasis feel threatened of losing their culture. The Chota Nagpur region had iron ore, bauxite, coal and mica, minerals that were essential for British industry. It also had dense teak and sal forest. Forests were cut down. Timber was needed for buildings, for railways and as fuel. All these Adivasis were compelled to grow cash crops like poppy, indigo and cotton. All these economic, social and religious issues led to a series of tribal revolt across the India between 1765 and 1847. The revolt of Malpahariyas of Rajmahal Hills 1772, the Chow Revolt 1774, the revolt of the Kols 1811 and 1833, the revolt of the Santals 1855 and Munda Rebellion 1855 were major revolts. Let us have a look at some of the revolts. The tribal revolts of Chota Nagpur.
The strongest resistance to British policies come from the Adivasis of Chota Nagpur region of Jharkhand.
Tribal groups were concentrated in districts of Ranchi, Singhbhum and Santhal Pargana. The major tribes were the Santals, the Mundas, the Kols and the Orions. The Kol Rebellion. In 1820, the Raja of Singhbhum acknowledged the supremacy of the British. The Kol tribes, however, resented the agreement and broke into a rebellion in 1831 to 1832. Kols were joined by the Munda tribe. Cause of this revolt was the oppression of the local tribes by the non-Adivasis, Thekedars or farmers of rented land. The Kols, the Mundas and the Orions joined and burned the houses of many Diku. A register of all tribal land was completed in 1862. It was in favor of landlords. Now children, let us know about the Santhal rebellion. The Santhal occupied large area of present-day Jharkhand. In 1780, Tilka Maji led a revolt of the Santals, which was soon repressed by the British. Finally, in 1855, the Santhal rose in major rebellion. It was led by four brothers, Sidhu, Chand, Kanhu and Bhairav. The Santhals attacked and killed moneylenders, traders, police, agents of company. The Santhals retook the territory from Bhagalpur to Birbhum. British sent the army. Thousands of Santhals were killed. The rebellion was crushed. To check the exploitation of the Santhals, Santhal Paraganan's Tenancy Act was passed by the British government. Now children, let us learn about Munda Revolt. Birsa Munda and the Munda Revolt. In 1865, the British government passed the Forest Regulation Act, which gave them the right to declare any forest land to be government land. There was no provision for the traditional rights of the Adivasis. The Forest Act 7 of 1882 passed even more stringent restrictions on the use of forest and forest produced by the tribal people. As the Adivasis continued their protest against such act, the British passed the Criminal Tribal Act in 1871, which labelled all the Adivasi group that had rebelled against the British as criminals. Birsa Munda was young Adivasi who led the long struggle against the police of the British. Birsa led a number of Adivasi farmers with a petition candle forest dues. Birsa started war against the British in the mid-1890s.
After suppression
of his first uprising, he adopted guerrilla warfare. The revolt or Ulgulan rocked the British. Finally, one of his own men betrayed Birsa and he was arrested in 1900 and is believed to have died of cholera soon. Now children, let us learn the tribal revolts in the northeast. The Ahoms ruled over Assam for almost 600 years from 1228 till 1826. Assam was annexed by the British in 1826. British followed the policy of divide and rule to establish their control. Most of the tribal areas in the northeast were declared excluded areas as per the Government of India Act of 1835. People were migrating to the northeast as a result of the economic policies of the British. As the tribal groups saw that jobs being taken away by the migrants, the feeling of insecurity increased among them. Soon, tribal people in the northeast started fighting against the policies of British. Major revolts were Khasi agitation of Meghalaya, rebellion in Assam and Manipur. Now children, let us know about the Khasi and Jaintia rebellion. The Khasis and Jaintia were powerful between the Garo and the Jaintia hills in present-day Meghalaya. As a result of First Burmese War 1824-26, the British had acquired territories in Burma. To reach it by the land, they needed to build a road connecting Sylhet with Arakan. This road would pass through land belonging to the Khasis. Khasis initially accepted the request of British, but soon they understood the hidden desire of British to conquer all the hill territory lying between the Brahmaputra and Surma river valleys. Khasis asked British to go, but they refused. British established control over the Jaintia and Garo hills. British started imposing taxes on the Adivasis. Adivasis got angry and rose rebellion under the leadership of Yukiang Nongba in 1862. Jaintias were finally defeated and Nongba was hanged in public. Now children, let us know about the Assam rebellion. Tea was discovered in Assam in 1823. Assam was annexed to British Empire in India in 1838. Assam tea was one of the biggest earner of revenue. The British started tea plantation in Assam. Using the provisions of the Waste Land Regulation, the land was taken away from the tribals. The plantation were run by the British or non-tribal people from other parts of India, and tribals were employed as poorly paid tea pickers.
As the exploitation increased, the Adivasis
Of Assam rose in a series of rebellions. It started at Fulaguri in 1861 and it spread by 1892 to Patidarang, Nalbari and Lachima. The most notable revolt was the one at Patharughat in 1894. In 1920, the British formed Assam province and separated tribal and non-tribal groups, ensuring
that they would not unite
to fight against the British. Summary: the British acquired large tracts of tribal land and charged huge land revenue on the Adivasis. The Coles rebelled against non-tribal landlords in 1831 and 1832. In 1855, Santhal revolted against the British. In 1890s, Birsa Munda of the Munda tribe led several rebellions against the British. There was conflict between the Khasi tribe of northeast and the British as British annexed their land, built a road to Burma. The Jaintiyas revolted under Nonba in 1862. The British annexed Assam in 1838 and started tea plantation forcibly, taking land from the tribes. That is all in this lesson. Keep learning.